Focused and fearless. Here's everything you need to know this rush hour of July 4, Thursday. I'm Riza Diaz. We open today's rush with early bird violators who, as early as now, are charging beyond the suggested retail price for some basic goods. This comes ahead of the expected price increases next month. Good thing is, you can now report overpriced products directly to the DTI. Laila Pangilinan will give us more details.
The Department of Trade and Industry made a surprise inspection at several grocery stores and markets Wednesday morning. This comes after an impending increase on basic commodities next month. In the new SRP list, a specific milk brand will be 30% or 70 centavos to 2 pesos more expensive, while a certain fish sauce and coffee brand will cost 1 more peso. Prices of certain brands of sardines are also expected to increase.
Yung raw materials, cost ng raw materials nila, karamihan doon imported. So, yung cost ng importation nila at yung fuel, syempre, at yung, remember, yung height ng inflation natin last year. Para hindi masyadong mabigat sa consumer, kung ang increase na nire-request nila ay 2 piso, hinahati natin as much as possible sa 3.
The Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, or BFAR, also announced that fish will be more expensive due to the start of rainy season. In Wednesday's inspection, this vegetable stall violated the SRP for garlic. What is supposed to be 80 pesos per kilo is being sold at 130 pesos. In this store, a kilo of choice cut chicken costs 180 pesos instead of 160 pesos. Vendors defend their pricing based on the supplier's wholesale offer.
Ang puhunan po namin dito ng bawang, 110 na, puhunan pa lang. Ang SRP po na sinasabi nila, 80 lang. 700 to 720 ang puhunan ng per sako. Oo, may mga bulok pa po.
For those who wish to report overpriced products, you may reach the DTI via their hotline, 1384. Reporting for News 5, Laila Pangilinan, We Are One News.
For those using vapes or e-cigarettes, take note the Health Department has approved rules banning its use in public areas. And just like regular cigarettes, these alternative smoking products will now also be subject to sin tax. Patricia Mangune has a report.
It has been 10 years since Albert Masilungan quit smoking and started vaping. He says vaping eased the discomfort of weaning away from cigarettes. Realizing that vapor smoke may be bothersome to others, he and fellow vape users support regulating its use, such as vaping in enclosed areas.
Mas maganda rin para maiwasan natin yung pagrereklamo ng ibang tao. Mas maganda sa enclosed area or sa smoking area.
Kasi po, ibang tao naiirita po sa usok. Kaya mas maganda sa loob ka ng mga vape shops na vape.
Department of Health Secretary Francisco Duque III has already signed Administrative Order 2019-0007, which classifies vapes or e-cigarettes as electronic nicotine and non-nicotine delivery system, or ENDS. This complies with Executive Order 26 of 2017, banning smoking of tobacco-lit products in public places. So just like smoking cigarettes, vaping will also be restricted to designated areas only. The DOH will also allow a maximum of 20 milligrams of nicotine content in vape liquid, while refill containers will be limited to 10 milliliters.
There is no clear-cut evidence to prove that the vape, the electronic non-nicotine delivery system, as an alternative to the traditional cigarette, is safer.
E-cigarette manufacturer Juul Philippines says they respect any regulation covering vapes, but they request they should be consulted first so that the best policy options may be considered before the order is fully implemented. DOH also approves of imposing sin taxes on vapes and their liquids. The Health Department welcomes any move to challenge the constitutionality of the vaping regulation, which will take effect 15 days after publication in newspapers. Establishments will be given a 3-month transitory period to comply with the requirements of the order. For News 5, Patricia Mangune, We Are One News.
Parts of Mindanao are currently experiencing early morning rain due to the low-pressure area off the coast of Gensan. To give us updates on this weather disturbance, we have with us on the line from Pag-asa weather forecaster, Mr. Benny Estereja. Sir Benny, good morning.
Good morning, Riza, and to all our viewers.
Benny, would like to know the status of this LPA. Do we have its location?
Yes, as of 3 in the morning, the low pressure area is still inside our Philippine area of responsibility, around 520 kilometers east-southeast of General Santos City.
Looking ahead, will this further develop into perhaps a tropical depression?
Based on our analysis, this LPA has a very slim chance of becoming a tropical depression, and it's most likely to weaken or dissipate within the next 24 hours.
The effects of which this LPA, Benny, would it bring more rain?
Yes, the trough or the extension of this LPA will bring cloudy skies with scattered rains and thunderstorms over most of Visayas and Mindanao for today.
How about the effects of habagat?
We're currently not experiencing the habagat over here in Luzon. That's why most of Luzon, including Metro Manila, will experience partly cloudy to cloudy skies and some localized thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening.
Finally, Benny, other than this LPA, are there other weather disturbances we're looking at too?
Currently, we're not seeing any cloud clusters that may form as a low-pressure area and eventually tropical cyclone within the next 3 days.
All right, thank you very much. That's Pag-asa weather forecaster Benny Estereja. Presidential spokesperson Sal Panelo still believes that President Duterte's verbal agreement with China is legally binding. But Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles is saying otherwise. Maricel Halili with the details.
Malacanang says it respects the verbal agreement made by President Rodrigo Duterte with Chinese President Xi Jinping about the issue on fishing in our exclusive economic zone. But Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles says the deal cannot be enforced unless there is a written or formal agreement.
Those verbal talks, unless it is formalized, written down, and stated therein provision by provision, the terms of reference, the terms and conditions, then this is an agreement to come into an agreement.
Nograles says the two leaders only agreed to have an open communication on the issue so far. But presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo says the verbal agreement is legally binding even if there's no written document to support it.
It goes now to the realm of, is it enforceable? If you say you enforce it, how do you enforce it? What is the mechanism? What are the written formal mechanisms of enforcing it? What are the terms and conditions?
Without the formal agreement, Nograles says the government will continue to implement its existing laws. Section 91 of the Fisheries Code states it is unlawful for any foreign person, corporation, or entity to fish in Philippine waters. Maritime law expert attorney J. Batungbakal meanwhile clarifies the statement made by Foreign Affairs Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr. Locsin says a provision in the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Seas allows a foreign country to fish in the EEZ when there is a surplus of fish.
Yung obligation po na yun sa UNCLOS ay hindi para sa buong exclusive economic zone, kundi yung pagbigay ng lisensya sa mga dayuhang mangisda na mangisda nga sa'yo. So ibig sabihin, kontrolado mo kung ilan sila at saan sila mangisda at gaano karami ang kanilang pupunin.
Nograles meanwhile assures the public that all agreements entered into by the government are within the national laws. For News 5, Maricel Halili, we are One News.
Former First Lady Imelda Marcos' 90th birthday celebration certainly won't be forgotten. That's after about 260 people were rushed to the hospital due to confirmed food poisoning. And until now, a few of the victims have yet to be discharged. Greg Gregorio with the full story.
It was past 12 noon on Wednesday when ambulances rushed to the Inares Sports Center in Pasig after guests of former First Lady Imelda Marcos reportedly suffered from food poisoning. Former First Lady Imelda Marcos was seen having a good time during her 90th birthday celebration at the arena, not knowing that several guests have already been vomiting. Some have even passed out. More than 260 guests were rushed to several nearby hospitals. Some of the guests said they fell ill due to the food that they ate at the party.
Nakain po ng manok. Kumain po kami ng nasa paklas po. Panis po yung itlog eh. At saka po yung manok na adobo.
But some claim they haven't eaten anything yet, which could only mean that a poison came from the bottled water that was earlier given to them.
Wala pa sila nakakain na food pero water ang inuna nila. That's the time na nagsuka na sila. So, nagtatalo yung supplier ng food tsaka water ngayon.
But the celebration went on until 2:30 in the afternoon. The guests that stayed at the party received groceries from the Marcoses.
13 po kaming magkakasama, 3 na lang po kami. Lahat po nila na sa ospital.
Mabuti hindi ko kinain kanina kasi busog pa ako. Andun iniwan ko sa misa.
The Food and Drug Administration is still examining the adobo and bottled water served during the event. And the Pasig City Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office says it will take about 3 to 4 days to get the results. Meanwhile, the birthday celebrant was not informed of the incident.
Hindi namin pinarating kay Madam pero nalaman ito ni BBM at saka ni Senator Amy. At nagsabi naman sila na kanilang pupuntahan ito.
On the other hand, former Senator Bongbong Marcos has apologized for the incident and offered to help the victims. Later in the afternoon, the health department confirmed that the incident was indeed food poisoning. And according to the infection disease specialist Dr. Primo Valenzuela, unsanitary handling and poor storage of food may have caused it. However, DOH Secretary Francisco Duque assured the public that the medical personnel of the hospitals attending to the patients are doing all they can to give them proper treatment. For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
Meanwhile, here are the biggest stories from the Philippine Star. The Defense Department is set to investigate the alleged testing of multiple anti-ballistic or anti-ship ballistic missiles from the artificial islands in the South China Sea. The Pentagon believes this is another act to intimidate other claimants of the contested waters. Meanwhile, Philippine legal and maritime experts tell the Philippine Star that the Philippines could face irreversible damage to our marine resources in the next years. That's if the Duterte administration will do nothing to stop China's destructive activities in the West Philippine Sea. The Cebu City Legal Office is now preparing to file criminal charges against its former mayor Tommy Osmeña and several others following the move to strip the mayor's office bare. The Freeman quotes Cebu City Attorney Ray Gialon saying there was evidence of bad faith in the way they took Osmeña's property out. The city's government or Department of General Services had certified that the fixtures and other interior were owned by Osmeña. But the city's legal office claims that some of the objects that are now considered government property and that freely removing them would mean theft. And the Business World reports that Philippines is among the world's top 10 worst countries for workers for a third straight year. This is according to a report by the 2019 Global Rights Index released by the International Trade Union Confederation. The report notes cases of violence and murder, repression of laws, and brutal repression of public protests among the country's laborers. The Philippines retained its index rating of 5, which meant no guarantee of rights for workers. Let's fast break now to Sports Rush. It's the Dutch versus the Americans in the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup Finals. Netherlands overcame Sweden in a tense match, which will go down in the tournament's history for being the first semi-finals game that went into extra time. In the 99th minute, Jackie Grunen scored the winner with her fierce strike into the bottom left corner, rendering Sweden's goalkeeper Hedvig Lindhall helpless. But will their grit be enough to defeat the veteran US team, who already won the World Cup 3 times? Let's find out on Monday's match. And did you have a hard time accessing your Facebook or Instagram or perhaps your WhatsApp account? Well, that's because there's currently a global outage on Facebook services since Wednesday morning. Online monitoring service Down Detector said that the outage is being experienced in several parts of the globe. Users reported that they would have trouble posting stories, posts, and viewing media on all 3 platforms. Facebook has acknowledged the downtime, saying they're now working as quickly as possible to get things back to normal. Here are the stories to watch out for later today. An alliance of TNVS drivers will announce its TNVS Transport Holiday as a protest against certain policies of the LTFRB. After Divisoria and Carriedo, Plaza Miranda is the next Manila landmark to undergo clearing operations under the new administration of Mayor Isko Moreno Dumagoso. The Corregidor Foundation is leading the commemoration activities for the Filipino-American Friendship Day. Tourism officials will be among those visiting the historic island. And that's how the day is shaping up to be. Join us again next time for another round of Rush. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.